Morning. Welcome you all in this pathology class. Today we will be discussing that is the elemental abundances in the continental crust. You all know that crust is the top layer of earth having average thickness of 33 kilometers. The sedimentary rocks, they are just like we having very thin spread, having average thickness of 4 kilometer. So rest part is composed of your igneous and metamorphic rocks, and that too in igneous rocks. The interesting thing is that once we say rocks, means they are aggregate of minerals. Once we say minerals, means they have the association of elements. Now these elements, their abundances naturally will be reflected in minerals and ultimately in rocks. So we will try to understand the distribution of the elements in the continental crust, and accordingly we will have an idea of composition of different minerals in rocks and ultimately the crust composition. You all know that to date there are 113 elements, known elements that are found in the crust, and the most abundant element in the crust is your oxygen. You can see in the diagram here, this oxygen, the green, we can say in the pie diagram, this is on an average, or say the crust, the most abundant element in the crust, oxygen, and the amount is around 46.8%. Means broadly 50% of the crust is made up of oxygen. Then the next abundant element comes is your silicon. Silicon is the number 2 element that is present in the crust. That is around 27.7%. Third is your aluminium. They are around 8%. Then if you talk the rest elements, that is the calcium 3.6%, sodium 2.8%, potassium 2.6%, magnesium 2.1%, iron 5%. So the top 4-5 elements, that most abundant is your oxygen, that is around 50%. Actual statistics is you say your 46.6%. Then silicon 27%. Then aluminium 8%. Then iron 5%. Calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, they are from 2 to 3%. So these 8 elements, they compose or they constitute 98% of the crust. So the remaining elements, if you out of known 130 elements, you minus these 8 elements, that means remaining 100 elements, they together they make only 2% of the crust. So by this we have an idea, the distribution means some elements are present in very large amounts and some will be present in even ppm, ppb, parts per million, parts per billion. So this is on a picture that you have to understand regarding the distribution of the elements in the crust. Now the mineral groups. If you call that mineral group the silicates, means silicon and oxygen. The most important mineral group is your silicates. Naturally silicon, you all know that is around 27% and oxygen 46%. They together they will form the silicate minerals, silicate mineral groups, and that most important group, and comprise rock forming minerals very abundant due to large silicon in earth crust. Then silicon oxygen tetrahedron, fundamental building block, 4 oxygen ions cross surrounding in smaller, much smaller silicon ion. Now what I have given the distribution, it is the weight percent in the crust. If you take volume by percent, then oxygen will be more than 90%. Right? That's why Goldsmith called it the oxysphere. Right? Because this is in very large amount, this oxygen in the crust. So if you talk of the silicate minerals, they are more than 90% minerals are silicate. The non-silicate, say your calcium carbonate is a non-silicate, CSO4, calcium sulfate. Such minerals are called non-silicate. Others which have silicon and oxygen in their composition, they are silicate minerals. So silicate minerals make up the largest and the most important class of rock forming minerals, constituting approximately 90% of the crust of the earth. They are classified based on the structure of their silicate groups which contain different ratios of silicon and oxygen. That is there. Now in silicon tetrahedra, 4 oxygen atom, 1 silicon atom in the center forms 4-sided geometry. Each side is like an equilateral triangle, creates 4 ions, right? This is there. So the different that group is there, the nesosilicates, olivine means SiO4, that will have -4 valency. If olivine, naturally 4 plus is required. 4 plus can be Mg2, Mg is 2 to 4. Then next category is SiO4, then the -6. Then your cyclosilicates, that is SnO3n twice. Then your inosilicates, phyllosilicates, and your tectosilicate 3D framework. Depending upon that is silicon oxygen and ratio, these minerals are classified. The nesosilicates, right? Orthosilicates have isolated tetrahedra. They are connected only by interstitial cations. Sorosilicates have two, or you can say have isolated double tetrahedra. Cyclosilicates have linked tetrahedra or a ratio of 1:3, that is ratio of silicon oxygen. There are 6 3-member. Then inosilicates or a chain silicates having interlocking chain or silicate tetrahedra with SiO3 1:3 ratio, and the other single chain or Si4O11, that is 4:11 ratio double chain structure. That is in your amphiboles, and the single chain is your pyroxenes. Then the phyllosilicates or sheet structure, parallel silicate tetrahedra with the Si2O5, or you can say 2:5. Then the tectosilicates have 3-dimensional framework of silicate tetrahedra with 1:2 ratio. Comprising nearly 75% of the crust of the earth. Tectosilicates, with the exception of the quartz group, are aluminosilicates. That is there. Now coming to the silicate classified on the basis of polymorphism, that is SiO4 single tetrahedra nesosilicates. Example, you can take your olivine, garnet. Then double tetrahedra silicosilicates, your lawsonite. Cyclosilicates, example your bentonite, axenite. 6-member. Then single chain structure, cyclosilicates. Then 4-member silicates are classified on the basis of SiO4 single chain silicates, pyroxene group, right? Then double chain amphibole group silicates. Sheet structure, your mica group, that is muscovite, biotite. Silicates are classified on the basis of SiO polymorphism. Framework silicates, that is feldspar group, most abundant mineral group, orthoclase, albite, plagioclase, labradorite. These are the quartz. You can see it's also any framework of the silicates. Then amethyst, these are varieties of these. These are SiO2 nesosilicates, independent SiO tetrahedra, right? Then inosilicates, you can see in this joining silicate structure, single tetrahedra linked to form various structures, isolated tetrahedra, ring structure, single and double chain structure, sheet structure, layered or complex 3-dimensional structures. So this is how, means once you understand that in the crust these most abundant element is your oxygen, then your silicon, then aluminium, iron. These are the top in order in 4 members, 4 elements. Then your calcium, sodium, potassium, 4, 3, 7, and you can say your titanium. These 8 elements, they make around 98% composition. The rest elements in together, these 100, they make only 2%. So how the, you can say the naturally or minerals of such elements which are in traces, naturally the minerals will also be in the traces. Whereas the minerals which are present in large amounts, your silicon, oxygen, naturally they will be in the large amounts in the crust. So these silicate minerals, they are the most abundant group of minerals. Others are non-silicate. Non-silicates can be classified as carbonates, sulfates, phosphates, right? Like this. They all together form only 10%. And amongst these, if you talk of these silicate minerals, silicate, the feldspar group is the most abundant group. That is 55%. That composition of the crust is made of the feldspars, because the composition of feldspar is KNaCa and SiO. So these three, KNaCa plus SiO5, they are five together, they are in the large amounts. That's why the feldspars are also present in the large amount in the crust. That you try to understand, and that will be, help you to understand the composition of the igneous rocks or the mineral composition and the classification of igneous rocks further later on. Thank you very much. That's all for today. See you in the next class. Thank you.